First, we're gonna talk about pathing, because pathing and spacing they're bound together. When you click somewhere far away, the autopathing draws a line that thinks this will get you the quickest here. So imagine we're having a team fight in river or whatever, and you want to get there. It's simply gonna follow the drawn line at all times. Now the problem with this line is mainly two things. League is a dynamic game. Things are going to be in the way, randomly. Like minions or wards, or, maybe I'm clicking on a minion and I'm gonna like lose vision there, and then the character's just gonna stop. There's all sorts of things, it can be anything. It's too dynamic to follow a drawn line for longer than 3 seconds, And there's also these plans that can help you get to places quicker. You simply don't have a reason to AFK path. There simply isn't one. But the other big problem is simply that this pathing is not the quickest way. You take a look at this line. Am I right next to the wall? Like mathematically, am I right next to the wall? Not at all times, I'm not. So it depends where you want to land. If you want to land more to the right, or you want to land, as quick to the left as possible. You're not gonna path like the pathing says, like the auto pathing says. You're gonna try to follow the wall. Sure, it might not be 100% precise, but I'm telling you, this is faster. This is faster because you take a shorter path. And it also accounts for any of the dynamic stuff. If there's a plant or whatever that you can get quicker, or you want to hit the vision plant, you can adjust accordingly all the time. One other big thing is autopathing doesn't account for which way you want to take. Even if this is the fastest way through mid lane to get to the river, your team might all be on this side. It might just be more safe, or it might positionally make more sense to take another path. So simply don't click a long way unless it's literally a straight line from, let's say here to here. That's fine, just path like that, that's fine. But even in base, if you want to make it to the mid lane, you're gonna click around the turrets first, you make sure you have a straight line, then you can click straight. And then you look if you're gonna bounce into a minion wave or whatever. And if you're not, then it's fine. Just let it pass there. But otherwise, you're gonna wanna click constantly. Because this goes into the second thing. And it's that sometimes there's stuff in the way. And your character just makes turns like this. If you wanna avoid the creep block, the units dying, or like dodge skill shots constantly as well, and not like get into the wrong space or take the wrong way, you're gonna want to click like this all the time. Less than a ranged character's out of range, but not that far away. It's simply more accurate. Faker does it all the time, any high level player does it all the time. You're gonna want to do it. Preferably almost never click longer than your auto attack range, but it's fine. Like, I, for example, have a habit of doing it when I'm kiting or whatever, or CSing. It happens. Now, let's get into spacing. Spacing makes the difference between a good player and a bad player. That's really all there is. You can talk about macro or like specific combo mechanics all you want. Spacing is really where the real deal sits. If you want to perfect the game, get good, you learn to space. Doesn't matter if you're a support or AD carry or top laner or jungler, it doesn't matter. It's always good to know spacing. Spacing is all about min-maxing what you can do and minimizing what the enemy can do. This means abusing your ranges as much as we can, not wasting any time, extra time walking towards the target, for example, to auto-attack. Instead, just Because if we take a look at the scuttle, for example, if I just click on this and I let it up, okay, let's just make it work here. If I click on the scuttle and just let it out attack normally, it's gonna waste a lot of time after the attack wind up. But if I, for example, click as soon as the auto attack is ready, I'm gonna maximize the amount of time I'm traveling. I'm gonna try to think, okay, this is the minimum amount of time I need for the attack windup to not cancel. And like, after a while, with each champion, you get used to it, okay? You don't have to be worried about cancelling out attacks every time. I recommend not using legendary skins that are flawed, because they exist. And they can make it harder for you, but after a while, you're never gonna miss an attack windup. And even if you do, it's not gonna cost you anything. Because you've gained so much time, like it's always worth minimizing the attack windup. What can be hard is if you have dynamic attack speed with lethal tempo or any kind of stacking or sudden attack speed bursts. It can be not the easiest. And then if you're, of course, if it's Draven as well, you have to account for, well, you don't want to walk too far because the axes don't always land perfectly. Stuff like that. What's a good example of how to abuse range? The turret. Bot turret and top turret both have the same problem, and it's that characters can stand right here at the edge and basically always get an out attack on enemies. It can be, you know, in a straight line as well, but it's easiest to do here at the edge, because then if an enemy character is standing here, for example, they're not like as safe as they would be if they stood like right here. What do I do? Ally dummies. Let's just push in the wave. Let me show you. You can guarantee never getting hit by a tower shot as long as you pay attention to the turret's range, your own range, of course taking into account what the enemy can do, and using your buffs, movement speed buffs. So there I did it wrong. On this dummy you can do it without, like, you don't even need to have a, like, it makes it easier if there's a minion, but you could even, with enough move speed, you could even do it without anything taking aggro in the first place. And of course, if you would just let it hit you, then yeah, you're gonna take damage. Like, that's not how you want to play the game. But you take attention to when the attack wind up of the turret goes off, when the cooldown is gonna start, and you will never get hit by a turret ever again. There are other videos on this. I would suggest watching them. I can show examples, not specifically of the turret, but of kiting and spacing in general. And I have two here. They're both melee, but I think they're very good examples. So in the first one, we have a Cannon and a Fiora. Fiora is walking up to abuse the fact that Cannon is ranged and went a cull greedingly. So he tries to walk up. He sees that the lucky, or not lucky, but it can be downwards or to the left, and left is obviously better for Fiora. And then the Cannon tries to keep longer than max range Q, so that Fiora doesn't Q early, or too early. Then he suddenly walks back into it, expects a long range Q, because Fiora is like, okay, I can just now reach with the Q, assuming he continues to walk to the right. And then he somehow dodges the Q, because Fiora's dash is quite long, and Cannon is quite fast. And this means she not only doesn't get to hit the parry, but Cannon gets to completely deny the parry. And she has no way of hitting it, as long as he's awake, you know, and not disconnecting his keyboard. And so he gets such a winning trade, and I'm telling you, the move speed from the parry, the move speed from the vital, and the damage and the healing would make a ton of difference in how this trade went. It would be equal or winning for Fiora, guaranteed. Especially with the fact that she can run into bushes afterwards, because Cannon would be on the right side of her. So this is one instance where it's perfect. Spacing is also meant to dodge abilities. At this point, I think Aatrox misses it completely. Like, he aims it too much downwards. But then he throws another one instantly. And he knows that his Q2 won't reach, because it stops around here. characters here at the time of the Q start. He knows it won't reach, and Jon reacts with Eing into him instantly. Now, it's a bit of a balls deep move, because Aatrox could kinda react to this, kinda, or very much should at least anticipate it. Spacing is about 70% anticipation, whatever frick the word is called, and 30% reaction. Okay, you're not gonna react most of the times. Maybe like 15% of the time reaction. The higher you go up, especially since players don't leave you any time to react. So he completely dodges Q2, makes him be able to out-attack. This is such a winning trade because of it. Now, as long as he doesn't get hit by the sweet spots, preferably even not get hit by the Q at all, he also denies any kind of healing, any kind of trading back. And sure, in the end it's a small trade, but if you look at what happened, Aatrox is minus 250 HP, and Jon is minus 50 HP. Just because of the way it was played out. Another example is an all-in here. Darius is cheesing the Renekton. It's not all level 1 examples. The reason I'm showing level 1 examples is because it's very clear to see each wind-up, each animation. The more attack speed people get in the game and the lower their cooldowns and whatever, the harder it is to break it down. And also the easier it is for players to minimize the difference in skill. Like a low elo Twitch, like a gold Twitch, could easily start, what do you call it, surfing, gliding. But that doesn't mean he's good at spacing, it just means he's incentivized to click fast, like later into the game, when he has a lot of attack speed. And so he's gonna just spam his mouse buttons, and it's gonna look cool, it's gonna work out for him. As long as he has, you know, any kind of setup, a good situation. But in the early game, it's very clear what each movement does, each click. Here, the objective of Darius is to get equal auto-attacks or more, if possible. So he auto-attacks, walks back, because he wants to look how he plays. Then he decides to keep this range exactly, slightly outside of the attack range. Get another one, and now preferably he would wait out Renekton, so that at least they get into a position where he can out-attack more. So he runs back. The other purpose of this is the minion aggro. So he doesn't take minion aggro, you have to stay behind the minions at all times. Then they have equal auto-attacks. Renekton decides to keep going for the 5-stack. He ghosts. Now here it's very important. When you have more move speed, that's when you're in control. That's when you can start denying completely, making sure the bleed has a few ticks, 2 or 3 ticks, and looking for the moment where he turns back, because when the character is turning back, that's when they can't auto-attack back. And they don't get in range. Remember, auto-attacks, activation is the only requirement for being in range. After that, they can go quite far away, they can go like half a flash distance, and the auto-attack won't get cancelled. So, in this state, sure, Renekton has the same range as Darius, but he can never auto-attack back here, despite Darius doing it. Which means he just gets a free auto-attack. And here, the attack wind-up is still down, so we go for an E to stun him a bit, we go backwards to bait him out, so our attack wind-up comes back, and so that he doesn't get to trade back. And then when it's up again, we go for the last 2 remaining auto-attacks and we win the fight. That's all of it broken down as much as possible. That is spacing 101. Maximizing what you can do, minimizing what the enemy can do. It's not that hard, just practice with your champs. Just look at other videos if you need to. There are a lot of examples out there. I love LOL Lobby, this YouTube channel. Just do it. It's not that hard. If you want, I recommend using indicators. They can tell you what your own range is. It obviously, whenever enemy champions play a champion you've played before, you can kinda see that indicator in your head, and then you will know the exact range of it. See, I was just short. I don't play enough Draven. My bad. But there we go. Where I exactly remember the range. And This is all you need to know. The ranges, the timings. That's all of it. Thanks for me. This was spacing. But I turned this shit off.